The U.S. goes a perfect 3-0 in the first round of the group stage as they easily take down Jordan in what was a blowout practically within the first 2 minutes. They end up winning 110 to 62. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson was not enough in this one. He came into the game getting Kobe comparisons, averaging over 30 points per game. But in this one, the U.S. did a pretty good job of keying in on him defensively, as he's the one guy you have to stop on this team. And he got his 20 points, but not super efficiently. But he was giving it his all, even after twisting his ankle and then falling hard on his back. He was toughing through it and trying to carry his team to, well, I guess to non-embarrassment. But I didn't watch too much of the second half in this one. I mean, I was watching, but I was just on TikTok most of the time because, after the first half, it was boring because it was such a blowout. But Steve Kerr and the coaching staff actually gave me something to talk about from this game, and that was by making a starting lineup change. I've been talking about how Brandon Ingram has been struggling a lot, and so he got pulled from the starting lineup, and Josh Hart got inserted into the starting lineup. And now it is a little tough to make any takeaways from this game just because you're playing against Jordan. So, like, what does it really tell you? Like, Jordan could not score the basketball, and they could not stop the U.S. in both a half court setting and in transition. So, like, what is it really going to tell you? But we can talk about how Josh Hart fits into that starting lineup. Brandon Ingram is a scorer. He wants the ball in his hands, and so does Anthony Edwards. So does Jalen Brunson. And I think that was part of the problem in that starting lineup. And so, obviously, the thought process in inserting Josh Hart is you're getting a defensive guy who's going to rebound the basketball and do other things other than scoring the basketball because you already have enough guys in the starting lineup that can score. Josh Hart had 12 rebounds in this game and didn't make a field goal. So, kind of exactly what you expect from Josh Hart. I think that it could definitely be a good fit for the starting lineup because I think when you're watching this team and the starting lineup, I mean, the starting lineup has been worse than the bench unit, and it just has not flowed the same as the bench unit. And so I think adding a guy that doesn't want the ball in his hands, but that's going to cut, move, defend, rebound, I think that could be an improvement. And then on the other side of it, moving Brandon Ingram to the bench, he's playing with a even more transition heavy unit, I think, especially with Halliburton out there and playing with a guy in Halliburton that's going to get him the ball. I think Ingram has a little more freedom to handle the ball himself and try to create things with the bench unit. He still only scored 7 points and didn't have a big breakout game necessarily, but he had 5 assists and looked a lot better just in terms of the chances that he was creating for the team. Just in the first half alone, he found Halliburton wide open for three separate times, and I think Halliburton made two of those threes. And then you could also see just Halliburton pushing the ball up and looking for Brandon Ingram in transition. I mean, there's even one play. Halliburton is so crazy. Like, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson makes a free throw on one end. So the entire Jordan defense is set. But what does Halliburton do? He gets the ball inbounded to him and just sprints up the court and throws a pass to Ingram at the top of the three-point arc and just totally catches Jordan off guard. And then they're like scrambling, and Ingram just makes one pass back to Halliburton, and it's a wide open three. Like, it's so funny to watch how just sprinting up the court when they don't expect it, even when the defense is set, can just create so much chaos. It's going to be really interesting to see if the U.S. sticks with this starting lineup change, but I personally like it. And I think the lineups just make more sense with Josh Hart in the starting lineup as opposed to Brandon Ingram. I think you could even insert Cam Johnson into the starting lineup. Either one of Hart or Johnson, I think, could start. Just some other notes from this game. Jaren Jackson Jr. dominated from the opening tip. They were going to him in the post, and he was defending in the post, blocking shots and forcing misses, and then he was posting up on the other end. And I thought Team USA was doing a good job of team rebounding around him. Anthony Edwards went off in the first half. Mikal Bridges was picking up full court, even when the score was like 20-4. He was picking up full court, getting steals and making guys uncomfortable. So that was fun to see, even when it was already a blowout in the first quarter. Mikal Bridges still picking up full court. I do think Brandon Ingram looked like he was still trying to force it a little. And I think you can very much see he's in his own head in that he just doesn't know what to do. But I think playing alongside Halliburton is going to get him better opportunities. So I think that can help him. Even if he is in his own head, he'll still get easy opportunities. The U.S. just started having fun in the second half. Jordan is just not even athletic enough to keep up with the U.S. Like, their bigs are so unathletic. It's like old school type bigs that just can't move. And so the U.S. is just running in transition, throwing oops, throwing behind the back passes. It got out of hand real quick. Paolo, again, has been fun to watch on both ends of the court. He's anchoring the U.S. defense very well. And now the U.S. moves on to the second group stage, I guess is what we're calling it, where there's 16 teams, I believe, moved on out of the 32, and then 8 teams will move on out of this second group stage. And so the U.S. got put into a group with Greece, Montenegro, and Lithuania, and their first game will be against Montenegro. And then this group stage will whittle it down to 8 teams that will set the quarterfinals. That game against Montenegro is 1:30 a.m. on Friday, and that is Pacific time. And Montenegro had wins against Mexico and then Egypt pretty easily, and then they lost big to Lithuania in their first round group stage. The U.S. and Lithuania are definitely the two favorites to advance out of this group J, as Greece even looked vulnerable to New Zealand. They were down to New Zealand and then rallied to beat them to move on. But even without Domantas Sabonis, Lithuania has looked good, and they got some good players there, so they are definitely the number one opposition in this group to the U.S. And I don't know why they do it like this. Why not just have a round of 16? Why do another group stage? And I don't think the format for the group stage is the same as the first group stage, but I still think it's like, why not just seed all the teams into a bracket and then go from there? The U.S. will then play Lithuania after they play Montenegro, and that is on Sunday. But I think if they beat Montenegro, they're guaranteed qualification anyways, I think. Or maybe Lithuania has to beat Greece for that to be the case. But then if Greece won, then the U.S. would be tied with Greece. And then probably have the tiebreaker in the head-to-head. I don't know exactly how that works, but I mean, I think the U.S. will pretty much be fine as long as they beat Montenegro. Anyways, that is it for this episode. Not too much to talk about, as Jordan did not put up much of a fight, but I am much more excited for Montenegro and then very excited for the game against Lithuania. So I will see you guys to recap those games. Peace.